My name's Anna, and in this video I'm going to show you how to upload your book to Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing. So you'll be able to create an ebook and a paper book through Kindle Direct, and by uploading it to that it will put you on the Amazon Marketplace. Before you start, you'll need to make sure you have an Amazon account. So if you've already purchased through Amazon and things like that, that's fine. You can use those credentials to create a Kindle Direct login. If you don't, then you will need to do one of those to be able to do this. The other thing you'll need to do is when you first go into Kindle Direct, they'll ask you to fill out some information about bank accounts, tax, address, your address, and everything like that. You need to do all of that before you can start uploading anything to do with your books. So just make sure you've done that. You won't be able to actually start uploading anything until that's done. So once that's filled out, you will be right to go. Just before I start, you can see down here I've already done an ebook and a print book here, kiddo. So you'll see that once it's done, it'll be listed here. It'll be very easy to see, and there's some other information here that, you know, if you haven't finished or you need to do something else, you can go into through this step. Now, before you get started, it's probably a good idea to have a few things ready to go. It'll just make everything a bit smoother. So you need a description of the book. So it can be pretty short if you want it to be, or it can be a little bit longer. That's just what it'll appear in the description section on your Amazon listing. You need a price. You need a price for your ebook and a price for your print book. So decide on those. For your print book, you'll need an ISBN. Now, Amazon can provide you with one of those, but if you've already got one, then use that. Ebooks on Amazon don't need an ISBN, so they'll just assign what's called an ASIN number. Okay, so let's start with the Kindle ebook. We'll do that first. So just click on the Kindle ebook square. So here you go. This is your first screen. Start off with language. It will probably default to English. I would suggest that's probably what most people would do, but if not, there's a whole list of languages there. So pop in your book title. If you have a subtitle and you want to include that, you can, but you don't need to. If your book is going to be part of a series or is a series, you can fill that in. If you're going to have editions or this is a new edition, you can pop that there. Otherwise, those two things aren't necessary to fill in. As you can see, it says optional. Then down here you need to put in the author's name, which will be you. I'm using another author here. If there's any other contributors, you might have an illustrator, photographer, something else you want to include there, then you can do that in this section. You could add another author if there's two of you. So this is the description that will turn up on your Amazon page. So I will just grab something to put on there. Publishing rights. So here, if it's your work, which I assume it is, then you just tick that you own the copyright and you hold the necessary publishing rights. Even if you've had someone edit your book or do a layout of your book or something like that, the words within the book are still your copyright. So you can easily keep that there. If you're not sure, you check out what the publishing rights are. Just be aware that copyright laws are a little bit different in the US and Australia, but you should be okay. If it's your work, then you own the copyright to that. Keywords. Now, Amazon, obviously keywords are really important. Perhaps it's on real estate, then you might want to put real estate in. You know, you might want to put property, investment, you know, something like that. If it's, you know, whatever relates to your book, put in, you know, you can enter up to 7. Put in as many as you like that you think are going to work and that you think people will search for when they're looking for something like your book. Categories. Now, Amazon has a lot of categories. So you can see here, you know, fiction, and then under fiction, there's a whole drop down of a lot more. Non-fiction, again, there'll be a drop down of a lot more, and then you can go into even deeper ones. So if we go into business and economics, excuse me, you can see here then there's a whole lot of sub ones here as well. So for this book, I'm just going to select general fiction, but you can add more categories, and I suggest you do. It's not a bad thing to have your book in a few categories if you can, and even have a look on Amazon before you upload your book, and have a look through and see where you think your book fits in. Have a look at categories that may not have very many titles in it yet, and that yours might fit into. That's another good way to do it as well. So if you're doing a children's book, there's an age range here that you can put in. That's optional, you don't need to, but if you've got a book that's focused on tweens, 8 to 12-year-olds, you might want to put the age in there. They have a US grade range. Probably for Australian it's not so much, but if you want to, then sure, that's fine. You can put a pre-order on. So if your book's ready but you don't want it to be on sale yet, then you can set up the pre-order. I'm going to leave it now and say I'm ready to release my book now because it's ready to go. But you can do pre-orders if you like. So basically it'll just show up on Amazon as your book, and it will say pre-order, and people can click on it and pre-order it. And then on the date you've specified, the book will be released, and the ebook will just then be distributed to all the Kindle devices or Kindle apps. Okay, so save and continue. Okay, so next up we're going to start looking at the contents. So this is where it kind of gets into the nitty-gritty. And so down here now we're going to look at uploading your ebook manuscript. They show you here what the recommended formats are. So obviously you've got Word, Mobi or EPUB, which are actually ebook files. Mobi is specifically an Amazon file. So if you do have one of those, if somebody's already converted your book into a Mobi file, that's great, or an EPUB file, that's great. I would suggest using those. We're just going to upload a Word document here, so I will do that. So it's pretty easy to do. If you've written your book all up in Word, then I would keep it in Word and I would use that. It's really easy. Ebook formatting is something that you want to keep it pretty simple if you can, because it's reflowable. So that means people might be reading it on their phone, on their iPads, on their desktop, on anything really. And so they can also adjust the size of the text, the font type, things like that. Keep it fairly simple, make it really easy to read, and people will enjoy it. It'll be easier to read. Okay, so that says yes, done successfully. That's great. If you've got a cover already, you can upload one here. They like JPEG or TIFF only. If you don't, then they can help you create one. So that's up to you. We've already got one, so we'll do that instead. Upload that. So now we're down at the point where you can launch a preview and have a look. It'll take you in and you'll be able to see what your book looks like. It's done it pretty well, and because it was already in a Word document and it was pretty simple, just a really easy font in the text and really simple chapter headings and things like that, it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So then just click the back arrow up here to go back. So if you're happy with that, go ahead. If you're not, then you can go out and upload, do what you want in your Word doc and upload a new one. Down here, ebook ISBN. I'm not going to do an ISBN because for Kindle you don't need one for the ebook. Publisher, up to you. You can put your own name in as a self-publisher. If you are doing it under your business, or if you've created your own company specifically for the publishing of your book, then you might want to pop that in there. Just save and continue. And what we'll be looking at next is pricing. And so this is when it will be handy to have your price already to go. You can do KDP select, territories. We'll select all territories, but if you've got certain places you do or don't want your book to be sold, then you can select it. So you can see here that, you can say, yes, I want it in Uganda, Ukraine, but you might leave out Zimbabwe for whatever reason. So for us, it's fine to go everywhere. There's no problem with it being everywhere. KDP pricing support. This is a good way to, if you do this, this will have you can click on this and it will take you and show you what a good pricing point might be for your book, and what royalties might be good for your book as well. So you can see here, like it's saying, at your royalty at this lower price, that's kind of how many we think how well it will do. But look, if you price your book at $2.99, this is the ebook, and that's in US dollars, at 70, we think it'll do better. And then the higher you go, the less you might make. Now, pricing is completely up to you and what you feel comfortable with and what you think your book is worth and what you think people will pay for it. So while this is a good indicator, it's by no means the be all and end all. You can price it at whatever you like. You could price it at $15.99 if you wanted to. So I'm going to take their advice and I'm going to do it at $70 and $2.99. Now, they've got primary marketplace here. You can change your marketplace if you like, so you can go down to .com.au. I'll just leave it at .com for now. All these other things down here, book lending, you can allow lending for this book. Now, if you do the 70% royalty, this will be locked. You will have to allow lending for this book. If I was to click 35% here, that would untick it and you can choose to do that. So if you don't want your book, if you don't want people to be able to share your book for a limited time, it looks like 14 days with their friends and family, then you would pick the 35% royalty plan and you would leave that unticked. So now I'm going to click publish your Kindle ebook.